Lord. Lovers, hello. Yes, you have just slid on into our giggle pot. You are here today on Fat Chats with JD Sparkly Tits Mason and Melissa Sparkly Tits Louise. We've decided that today our sparkly tits are involved in the conversation. So there's 6 of us here today.
My left, me right, and me lips, love.
And we're here to speak about, is your relationship the whole cake or a piece of the cake? And how do you have your whole cake?
Your cake and eat it too.
Your cake and eat it too. You say that so well, honey. Handing it over to you, Miss Sparkly Tits. You're the queen of sparkly tits, by the way.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, how do we have our cake and eat it too?
With our hands.
It's with our hands. First, you've got to decide what kind of cake you would like to eat. So,
a lot of decisions.
Yeah, what kind of cake would you like, babe?
Right now, right now, I would go a tarty, tangy lemon meringue pie. Where was the other day? And I was, that's right. We were at a restaurant the other day. We'd done the big walk. And the waiter asked, did we want dessert? And I said, only if it's on a naked body, and the naked body needs to be a man. Can you provide that? And because the guy's all of 23. And I said, I'm not joking. And my girlfriend's like, she's not joking. And we want that too. So he scuttled off. And we never got to eat cake off a naked body. But
did you get your lemon tarty glory?
No, I haven't had cake for a long time, to tell you the truth. So it's about time.
I haven't either.
Let's just close the microphones down and go and get cake.
That sounds awesome.
Anyone who's listening to this, press pause, go and get cake and come back. Beep.
Can we press pause too, just for a minute?
So we went and got cake.
We got special cakes down at the shops.
We did it. We went to the shops and got some cake. So today, this whole thing about eating the cake, the word John Gray came up again. He comes through. We're here to speak about how much of our life does a relationship take up, and what happens when something gets a bit wobbly in the relationship. So do you want to continue with that, honey? Because you were speaking some really eloquent words around that.
Yeah. Like essentially a really healthy relationship. Our focus on that person is a slice of our life. We look at the entire cake, like a circle, which is a cake because we like pleasure-filled things.
Yes.
So the circle of our life has so many quadrants in it. We've got self-care, we've got family, friends, adventure, work, play, all of those things, and relationships are a part of that. So when we have a healthy attachment, so there's 3 main attachment styles. There's anxious, avoidant, and healthy. And a healthy attachment style, when we're securely attached, and it takes time to develop secure attachment. That's why we're here to talk about this today, because we all, basically by default, our society is fairly insecurely attached. We're dancing like musical monkeys to try and get, dance for me, musical monkey. Skip through the hoops, do this and you'll be loved. So we live in a culture where we're constantly reaching outside of ourselves to seek a validation, affirmation, and a sense of security and safety in the world. Like, even when we think of an external God that lives outside of ourselves, conditioning, this is what our lineages and our ancestors are preconditioned for. When we think about like religion, apparently my internet's unstable. When we think about religion and, you know, philosophy and different ways of thinking, it has been the seeking outside of oneself to find a sense of safety, security, and completion. And of course, our intimate relationships are a part of that. So when we think about attachment styles and what it takes to become securely attached, where the relationship is only one slice of our life, it's not the entire thing, anxious attachment style will become obsessed, completely focused on this relationship, constantly looking at that person and being hyper vigilant and trying to find out where the safety lies based on that person's response and reaction to oneself.
Yeah.
So we're here to speak to that and to the avoidant, because what generally happens is an anxiously attached person will attract an avoidant. And, you know, there's heaps of stuff on the internet right now about the narcissist and empath dynamic. Essentially, it's the anxious and avoidant. But what's in the center of both is a sense of self-worth that is really needing to cultivate a relationship with the entire cake of life, to each becoming the cake.
This is where I love, you know, what John Gray, you know, the guy that wrote.
Oh, he's bloody amazing. Men are from Mars, women from
Venus. And he's just like, listen, women. I don't know if he says that. That's how I read it, how I hear it on his video, on this interview I watched from him. That basically 20% of our happiness is to come from our relationship. Like if we have a whole cake, everything, that 20%. And what we often see is like we place all of our needs, our desires, our wants, that this person is to meet all of our needs. And Esther Perel speaks about this all the time around what we used to get from a community, we're now requiring from one person. So you can imagine how these styles are perpetuated or are fostered in someone because, you know, everyone's not having their needs met by a community. It's not just you know, the two people in a relationship. We live in a trauma-based culture. All of our needs are not being met by community. So by the time we reach the place where we're engaging with someone, we're coming from a deficit. And, you know, even when we're doing the work, there is still this sense of now the relationship that relationship's coming in, and the amount of deep stuff of like, oh, I can get this and this and this and this from that person, or from the relationship, not from that person. It's like, oh, the relationship will give me this. And it's really easy to fall into. It's so fucking easy to fall into because we live alone. We live without community. And when someone comes in and we've got all of this joy and love, it's like all of those joy and love parts get ignited.
Oh, it's juicy. It's amazing. Like, all of those hormone bondings, you know, that amazing sense of connection and having someone have your back and the security that it brings and the cuddles and like that, we get drunk off that stuff. And it's amazing and it's beautiful. And it's not the entire source of our life energy.
Yeah.
Something real that I love about John Gray's work is he talks about how, like, the hormone difference in the masculine and feminine. So when he starts pulling away, his testosterone's dropped because men don't connect through estrogen. Women connect through estrogen. last week we were talking about the different poles, but it's really great to bring in the hormone aspect of our differences as well, because we really are so fucking different. So women connect through estrogen, and this is where that back up to Esther Perel's work is amazing, because when women come together, we produce more estrogen, and then we're more radiant.
Darling, are you talking about estrogen or oxytocin?
Estrogen and oxytocin.
And oxytocin, because they both feed off each other, yeah.
Yeah, oxytocin is the bonding hormone.
Yeah.
It's the one that makes us, like, that's the one that connects a mother to a baby. And when we make love, when we have an orgasm with someone, both people receive oxytocin. But estrogen is the feminine hormone. It's the nurturing hormone, right? And so men connect through testosterone. And when they have heaps of orgasms, or they've been spending heaps of time with an estrogen dominant community, their testosterone drops, and they need to go away to their cave because they're single focused, right? The masculine brain is single focused, and he needs to go away to replenish his testosterone so that he can connect. And here we are as women going, but it was so amazing and juicy, and I
just want more and more and more and more and more.
And I want to spray all of my estrogen all over you. And he's like, oh my God, I just need some space. And then we are in this place of interpretation, right? Especially if we have the anxious attachment style. If we're seeking our sense of safety in the world from an external source who has become this person who's been making love to us, filling up our hormone tank, everything feels amazing when he's shining his sun on us. We're the full moon, right? But what happens when the moon goes dark, when she goes behind the earth? The sun isn't shining on her. That's why she's gone dark. And this is where we can reach into the wisdom teachings and the stuff we teach in our programs and our retreats, because this is how we tend to the circle of life. We're not supposed to be always the full moon. That relationship is not meant to constantly be shining. So when we come from this place of going, thank you for shining your sun on my moon, it's time for us to go and replenish our hormones, to go into this place of entering the mystery of life. For him, usually it's an adventure, fishing, doing whatever he needs to do, off doing man time. For us, that's when we gather. We have our women posse, our circles, our juicy women's business that we go to, the shopping, the things. Like, what do you do to fill your cup, Melly? What's your pleasure?
Oh my God.
Pleasure advocate.
So many things. But you find this, like, when you've been with a man, it's like, what do? We reach out to girlfriends, we talk, we gather, we go and I'm going to go and cook food, or you grab a girlfriend and go for a walk or go for a swim, or I take the dogs and I want to go and have a cup of tea with someone. Whereas the masculine needs the space. Men don't claim enough time that they need. They don't claim the time that they need, which is, exactly what you're talking about. And I love this because I call it the oxytocin tap out. It's like you've tapped out, and they do. And it's in that place, what you're so beautifully describing is where, when we're looking at our styles, I don't have all of the words in my brain around that, but those times where the man has learned that the only way to get space is to cause an argument. the only way that he can get his alone time is to shut down so that she will storm off, or there's an argument says like, so that, you know, it's these habits that we have, which I can imagine this is where these styles get completely, you know, realliterated. It's one of my things that I support my male clients with, is like being able to have that boundary. If you're going to take your woman away, or say, if you're going to go away, no, they go, we're going to go away for 4 days, make it 2. like, or what do you have in place on day 2? What do you have in place? Make sure you take breaks. Make sure, send her to the beauty spa, and don't go with her. Don't go to the beauty spa with her on the second day. Go and do your thing. You don't have to hang out with her all the time, you know. So this is
That's
stuff.
amazing advice.
Yeah, it's
like what would it take? What would it take for us to give ourselves permission to fill our cup when we need to?
Oh, this is I had a woman reach out after a video I made when she said she watched it, because this is the other thing with the feminine. When we have too much high cortisol, we need to fill it up with pleasure. The fact that we are relearning and reparenting ourselves, you know, rehumanizing ourselves, that pleasure and space and time, patience is really fucking important. But we live in a culture. Yes. We live in a culture that deems that as lazy, not important. You got to keep on going. You got to, like, our trauma-based society is so diabolical in the way that we live. We need more space to be a good human. We need more silence to be a good human. We need more nurturing to be a good human. We need to have more love with our girlfriends and the things that fill us up. We need to be more pleasure-filled just to be in our bodies. But we're teaching our bodies and our relationship to live from trauma. Most relationships are built on trauma.
Which is codependency, depending on the other. Because when you think about that statement you just said, it's so powerful that, you know, when we have pleasure, when we're experiencing orgasms and pleasure, our cup feels full. But this is where the addiction to our man or woman can come in, because they become the solo source of our pleasure.
Yeah.
And that's when we're in trouble. Like our person can't be our counselor, our fuck buddy, our sacred union person for the energetics out there. They can't be that the source of everything, our best mate, our all the things. Like, they're not meant to be. But in this new, like you were saying, we live in a trauma-based society. It's kind of like the nuclear family setup: mum, dad, kids.
Yeah.
But some of those mums and dads don't talk to their parents anymore, so they have no mentors. And it's just like, you know, life itself is so goddamn busy that we become estranged. It's easy to become estranged. It's easy to just be focused on what you have to do today. So I encourage everybody to reach out to a friend that you haven't spoken to for a long time. I love what you said, Millie, like, go for a cup of tea. Because when we're talking about pleasure, it doesn't have to be orgasmic pleasure. It doesn't have to be sexual pleasure. It's like taking that moment to just go for a walk in a flower garden, if that's your jam. Go and watch the surf. Go and, like, set an alarm at sunrise and go and watch the sunrise, whatever floats your boat. Because these are the things that make us interesting to us.
Yeah. I love that.
If we're not feeling interested in ourselves, in who we are, why would we ever expect that person to be interested in us? We're immediately on our back foot. We're not coming from a sense of value and worth. we're coming from a place of insecurity, instability, not knowing.
Waiting for the other person to fill that space in. I'm
Affirm
here,
to
I'm in
me.
front of you. Now give to me.
Yeah.
Create for me. Be with me.
Remind me I'm amazing. Remind me why I'm amazing, because I've actually lost interest in myself. So the interest that you're giving to me is showing me that I have worth and value in the world. And if you turn away, don't you fucking turn away from me, because I've got nothing if you're not here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if that's your experience, there's no judgment. None at all. Like, the codependency unravel is fucking massive. It's a real thing. Learning how to come from the field of love itself as an inside job, it's a total rewiring of the brain.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know what to say from that. I'm actually really sitting with all of these images, and I'm not going to go down this track, but just what's been created when we're looking at codependency, looking at the need of another, what also has been really created these last 2 years of isolation. And I'm really intrigued to see, like, what is this generation? What is this generation that was born into this, or the kids that are around 10 years old at the moment, teenagers, where are their attachment styles going to be? That's where my brain was going. That's why I was silent. I'm like, wow, that's just a big thing, right? That's just too much to go down. But it is concerning. It is concerning.
It is. Because they're fighting for attention through a medium of technology and social media. And that is entirely identified by their image in the world and how they present. And this is why this conversation is so important, because we're the elders of tomorrow. We're the elders of today now.
Today.
I found a fucking grey eyebrow. Welcome to being one grey eyebrow hair. Welcome to being 43, JD.
Oh my goodness. I remember when that's actually really beautiful. Was there one on each side or just one?
No, just one.
Just one.
Just one.
Did you leave it there or pull it out?
I totally left it there.
Oh, on your love. I remember when I first found my first grey pussy hair. That was really strange, and how it's different to the others.
Yeah.
It's thicker.
I've got two grey pussy hairs. My vagina is white. She's becoming very wise these days. She's got silver sparkles to prove it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so this is why, like, the elders of today.
The other thing, when we're looking, what intrigues me, and I guess what really makes me feel so desperate, is when we're looking at the social media concept of, like, am I acceptable? I'm presenting myself, but they don't have to fucking do anything good to be presentable. Do you know what I mean? It's like, especially when we look at it's around the makeup, the look, that they're not doing anything, they're not contributing to society, they're not helping, and they're also, we're living in a culture where they're actually not required to do that much to be in the world.
Yeah, I had a dude friend me on Instagram this week, younger brother, friends me on Instagram, then he's like, hey, how you going? And he goes, can you vote for me? I'm applying for some thing it's like an influencer thing, and they can win money, right? And it looks like a cool cat. I said, yeah, what do you mean? And I don't feel like it's my place to correct him. His wisdom can guide him. But I was like, immediately, I just thought to myself, hell fucking no. We don't need another person out there sharing an image of cool. Like,
but what it is like, the question is, so what have you done to win this? Why should you win the money? What have you contributed?
Well, this is actually really relevant for this conversation, isn't it? Because how does someone who is self-sourced, who is really deeply in connection with themselves as the creatress of their own life. Yes, being an influencer can be a part of that. Being, but it depends where we're coming from. Because if we're coming from an internal reference point that says, I am creative and generative, I am love itself, I'm willing to feel the anxiety of someone moving away from me and speak all the words that I want to hear from them to my own heart. I am going to sit here in the uncomfortability of not knowing where my money's coming from. And this is very astrological because Mercury this week has moved from Aries retrograde into Taurus. And last week we were talking about the north nodes of the moon being activated by the eclipse. And so Mercury this week is just checking underneath the rocks to see what our relationship with matter is, how we're generating our sense of worth, value, where we're creating from, where we're creating our currency from, where we're creating our sense of love for self and others. So when we look at this thing, like we're either using other people, we're reaching out of ourselves, we're in this opportunistic society. And there's one way to network where we're net weaving with another heart. That person is a person on the other side of the screen. That person that we're making love to is a soul who has the same fucking needs as us. That, the clients are clients, like they're actual humans. So are we willing to create this place inside of us where we are real human hearts to co-create life with in an interdependent way, not codependent, not independent.
Interdependent, yeah.
Interdependent as community, as this coming from a place of like, yeah, fuck yeah, when you win, I win. But I'm not needy. Let's talk a little bit about like the difference between needy energy and like, because we can feel when someone's being needy, right? And when we all know what it feels like to be needy. And that's what I felt from this bro. Like, he's obviously going through a hard time. He needs money, but it felt really desperate, like reaching out to someone that he doesn't know. He didn't start a conversation with me, didn't give a shit about, like, to be a follower so that he could get the outcome that he needed. And that was a massive turnoff for me.
Oh yeah.
Like, it was a solid no, bro. I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna, like, I have to click links and shit, and you want me to fucking vote for you? Dude, no. I've got other things. I'm flat out finding my own links. Can you help me click my own links, please? That would be nice.
What are you going to contribute to my world? Do you know, this reminds me of just a really beautiful, I mean, this is that constant dynamic of penetrating the world, getting what we want. Everything's fast forward, fast food, fast, and not having to actually contribute, inquire into someone else's world. It's just this taking energy. Yeah. And I was watching this little video this morning of this young guy in our audience asking this speaker. It was so beautiful. It brought tears to my eyes, actually, this older gentleman. So the young guy's like, hey, can you give me a one-line? Like, what's a really good one-liner? I get my coffee every day from this coffee shop. I don't even really like coffee, but this girl's beautiful, you know? And I see her all the time and I'm really nervous. What's a one-liner? Like, I just want to impress with the one-liner. And the guy's like, You don't do a one-liner to the woman if you like, especially if you want her, you want something from her, you want her attention, you speak to her in sentences and you take your time over it. You know, I come in here every day.
I love it when people take their time.
It's like, I come in here every day. It would mean so much to me if I could know your name. And then the next day, calling her name, it would mean a lot to me if you knew mine. And then the third day, you know, the third time is like drawing it out, like little bit by little bit, penetrating her world, little bit by little bit. But this thing of like what you're talking about, the guy, I need this. Hi. Like not even using your name. Hello, Jade. I am so-and-so. Like not even introducing themselves. This fact of penetrating the space, penetrating penetrating the space, the moment, and taking, you know, I'm going to take what I want. I'm moving in, I'm getting it. That's my little 2 cents on that. But yeah, people can't be bothered. There's this whole thing of can't be bothered doing the work. It's this thing, can't be bothered doing the work, can't be bothered making the effort. I should be able to just be here. I'm just going to be here.
Yeah.
No inquiry if it's okay. I mean, there's energies everywhere. There's no checking in. Is it okay? You know?
Yeah, that's right. And that's where it's awesome to just sit with that. We don't have to respond straight away.
Mm-hmm.
But if someone can't be bothered, like, what do you really want to experience? What do we really want to experience?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know that I've got so much to share, so much love to give. So something that is really important to me is that I'm investing my energy in an equal exchange. And this is where that place of like, okay, I'm securely attached, which, by the way, in full transparency, I'm not there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm making really courageous choices in my life right now because I've just come out of a codependent relationship. And I'm willing to be completely uncomfortable to carve a new path for myself. So right now, life is fucking uncomfortable for me because I'm ready to do the work. Like, it's a non-negotiable for me to close my eyes and fall in love with myself before recreating the same shit that I just have been doing by default most of my life. And this is where I really want to speak to the powerful men and women of the world, the ones who hold massive space for other people. They're doing epic things. You know, you might be on stage doing, you're this fabulous, wondrous person in, you know, sharing music, sharing amazing lyrics, sharing workshops, whatever it is, right? You've got a level of status, but it's like, why am I fucking up? Why am I still choosing the same kind of person? Why am I still going into this anxious attachment style? Why am I avoiding? How did I just walk away from someone that I think is amazing and I shut down again and I cut them off and now they're gone? Speaking to the avoidant person, because they're going through the same thing that the anxious is. It's just that they don't have the words. They feel like they can't actually say what they need to say, so they just go. But inside it's the same thing. It's the question, like, do you love me? Do I love me? Am I enough? I'm not enough. Holy fuck, this person's upset with me. I don't know how to speak to them, whatever it is, right? So there's no wrongness in this. We are all learning. We're all fucking up. We're all learning how to date even. And so when you get to this point of like, okay, this person doesn't have the energy, they don't want to put in the work and that's okay. Last week we talked about lots of things, and one thing that came up is there's nothing we can do about someone's no.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about what they're ready for. You just got to fucking tend to your own garden.
Oh, so can I jump in, because I've just had this huge thing come through.
I feel like I'm talking way more than you
today. When we're doing about tending to our own garden, and when talking about community and community needs, what is required of us? I mean, for people, men and women in their late 30s, 40s, and 50 being single, what is required from us has never been required from society ever before. We're required to find a new relationship, to be shiny again, to be on our bed, we're required to be, the birds of paradise, to attract. But here's what our fucking maiden stage is for. Our maiden stage is to attract. So we've all gone through the maiden stage. The men have been through their prince stage. We're all like crones and kings and queens wanting to fucking take a rest. But we have to be in this, oh my God, I feel shiny. I've got to get the things right, and I've got to attract, and I've got to work through things. And it's so interesting, this energy of people not wanting to be fucked. We can't be fucked. Are you serious? I'm at the age of 50. What do you mean I have to keep on putting all this effort in? And I see this in my couple, when clients working with couples, where one of them is just like, yeah, sorry, every time I talk with my hands, it shifts the table. So this falls off.
Good save, babe. Good save.
Good save. I could save with my mouth next time. One of them is sometimes, one of the energy, one's wanting to improve, the other one's like, I'm done. I feel like, why can't we just exist as we are? Because of the effort. So it's a really interesting thought of all of us, for those of us that are 40 and 50, having to be in attraction. I don't mean that we need to look like we're 20, but attracting as if we're attracting a partner in. Whereas when we look at the energy of what our lives are for, that's what the maiden phase is for. And that was in our 20s. I'm like, you have to do it in my 50s. Fuck.
Yeah, but we still get to play with that when the moon's waxing. That's only 1 week.
It's only 1 week, and it's like, but we get to play. Yeah. But I mean,
I love this,
Dave. I'm talking sort of in the aspect of culture, society, bringing partnership in.
I love it. It's so important to talk about this.
Which maybe we can do
what
next.
Kind of effort?
Sorry.
What kind of effort? Like we were chatting this week about, I was just saying, like with my lover that I've been exploring with, we kind of got to this point where we realized that we were starting to get into this dynamic of like needing to process stuff. And I don't want to do that. I do not want to get into complicated processing stuff. I'm willing to put in effort into myself.
Mm-hmm.
But if the relationship becomes the focus of conversation,
Mm-hmm.
like for me, and this is just me personally, I don't want to do that. I want to go and have sexy dates. I want to go on adventures and I want to have sex. I want my life to be mostly about what my passions and my projects are.
Mm-hmm.
And I get to explore with a beautiful man who is willing to put in the same vibe and energy and interest as me into that slice of the cake that we
Mm-hmm.
share.
Mm-hmm.
But the dating process is so fucking long at our age. And we're all a bit jaded. Like, let's be honest. It's so hot.
All a bit
my name's
jaded.
Jade.
We're all a bit JD Masoned over the whole thing.
Oh no, cancer clear delete. Oh no, bro.
Well, it's also too, we're looking, you know, we're looking for completely different things as well, you know. I don't need what I needed in my 20s. I don't need a father for my child, you know.
Yeah, you don't need someone to create an empire with.
Yeah.
You don't, yeah.
All of their things. So yeah, it's just really interesting. The energy of that is really, really interesting.
It's cool. Hey. It's really awesome to explore the difference between needs and needy, being needy. Because when we know what we need, we can be a self-sourcing human being and we can say, hey, I need your help.
Yeah.
Would you be willing to help me with this thing? And when we recognize, oh my God, I'm having a fucking meltdown, the little girl inside of me is just really stuck in a timeline right now. I need to source help from a therapist or a friend, or go for a walk and talk to the nature, whatever it is. Like this is that redirection where we, instead of going to that person and going, the little girl inside of me is having a tantrum and she needs a cuddle and blah, 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 blah. And this is what we teach in our All of You course, because we cover the different archetypes, the maiden, the mother, the queen, and the elder, the crone, because these archetypes are within us all. And for our brothers, we've got the page, the father, the sage, page, knight. I think of the tarot, page, knight, sage, and king. Anyway, I kind of fucked that up, but you know, you get what I'm talking about.
I think you got it right there, Della. Although I don't really know. Honey, you're doing so good. It's all good.
I do feel like I'm talking way more than you today, though.
Yeah, I'm really just sitting in that whole thing of, I know what I wanted to say. I didn't cross my finger. That's why. When we're looking at, and just before you said, when we're talking about all of you and us getting our needs from other people, there's a huge part in what I see, and I know that we've seen it when we've been in women's circles and when we've traveled, you know, through Costa Rica and Vancouver when we were traveling and sort of speaking with lots of women. The fact of getting our needs met by other women, by community, is somehow secondary. Okay, if I can't get it met by the man, or if I'm not going to be in a relationship, I'm just doing all of this over here until I'm in a relationship. It's like our whole, the success. And I think this is another thing that's this is another thing that's really shifted in the dynamic of our society, is the fact that being in a relationship is not, it's not necessary to have shelter. It's not necessary to raise children. It's not necessary to work. Like the relationship doesn't provide the structure that the generations before us it did. It was absolutely needed. Like my mother needed to be married and in a relationship to have children and to have a roof over her head. Like it had to happen that way. I don't need to be married to have a roof over my head and raise my child. So we're also still, I think there's still a flavor of getting our needs met outside of a relationship is something we're doing, filling in the time until we're in a relationship. I still think for many, there's this, it's residual. It's like a residual energy that we're all doing stuff waiting to get into a relationship. I'm doing this till I get in a relationship. I'm going to live here until when I find the man. It's like everything's, I think underneath there's a deep seated primal brain part to, well, I'm just doing all of this 3 to 4 decades, still waiting to get into the relationship because that's the success I'm going for. Instead of cultivating, I'm getting all of my needs met. All around.
I love that so much, babe. You just explain that perfectly.
Awesome. And maybe that's something that we can jump into next week, is like really diving into that fact of exploring this part of us that where the relationship is still the thing that we feel we need to have to be successful, and how much of that affects where we're looking for our needs to be met, the energy that we take. Are we fulfilled getting our needs met? Because we still think it's subsidiary compared to if it was met by a man or met by a relationship.
Yeah, fully. I love that. Also redefining success.
Yes.
Because like it's okay to have a high value around love. Like it's something that I unpacked in my coaching recently. I just need to plug in my laptop. Like I went through this whole big journey of like turning 40 and not having babies. And you know, that's been really huge to walk through. And recently in my coaching, it was really beautiful to realize that, you know, if I wanted to, if that was a major priority for me, I would have done it. But having a loving partner, like for me, love is the priority. I'm driven by that connection. Some people are driven by success and money. Some are everyone's driven by different things. So how do we come into a healthy relationship where we feel fulfilled in love itself? Because a person outside of ourselves, that person isn't love. Like, I mean, they are, but love, like, are we creating from the field of love, or are we creating from lack? Because that's what you're saying. Like, essentially, that's what you were saying. Do we feel fulfilled? Or are we in a sense of lack consciousness? Because love is here right now. The only thing that is separating us from love itself is the belief that it's not here based on what's currently in our reality.
Yeah.
Oh, no one's fucking me. Love's not here. I don't have any dates lined up this week. Obviously, I'm unlovable. And this, you know, this is where we need to be really radically honest about what is actually playing out inside this little squirrel noggin. I was really into that person last week, and now I'm hiding. Like it's not what your brain is telling you. There's something deeper inside of there, because at the end of the day, we are made for connection. We're here to fucking love. And I really love what you were saying, babe, about you know, at our age, like after 30, dating after 30, it's a whole other kettle of fish. There's just this whole deal going on, and we get to redefine what that looks like. Not the dating piece, but like we don't have to do it the same way.
I've just had another download, but I'm leaving that because we need more. It's like going off. But the other download was when we're looking at the masculine, what needs. So this is, okay, in 2 weeks' time we'll talk about this. The download was, what does when the masculine needs to have a place in your life, and now we're dating in a world where we don't need the masculine in our life for shelter, provision, and family. So where does the masculine find a place in our life over that time? Stay tuned, lovers. That is all coming.
Yeah.
Boom, boom.
Over and out.
Ciao, ciao. We need to like. God.
If you need support with any of these things, Melissa and I are available for sessions.
Yeah, so much.
Discovery call, and we've got a retreat coming up in Mexico in January where you can spend time with us for a week, and we're going to go into all of the archetypes of the sacred feminine, and we're going to dive into the erotic blueprints, and
oh my God, we're going to get
loads of fun. It's going to be really friggin' juicy
and fun. That's what
and fun and really healing.
Yeah. No, definitely. Oh my goodness. Yes, lovers, we'll see you next week. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and you will see in the show notes all of the little bits and pieces to book calls with us if you want to speak any further. And oh yes, what I want to say, I have a private Facebook group for women where I'm doing a lot more videos in there 2 to 3 times a week, dropping in, even doing masterclasses in there. So if you want to join my Facebook group, Juicy, come and
what's it called, babes?
It's called Inside the Pleasure Studio. And that link will be down under stairs. That will be under the staircase as well. Boom, boom. Down in the comments.
Amazing. Diving into the underworld of
intimacy under the stairs.
That sounds fun.
Ciao, ciao.
Mwah.